Okay guys, sorry this took so long to come, and I know that video I put out, I think it was a little over a week ago now, said this was coming next week, and I finally got all the cards that I ordered in, and I'm ready to show the deck. Now I do want to say two things. One, I had a rank 5 centric build that I was testing and that I was planning on showing you guys, but sad but true, the deck that got top 8 at the Oakmont, Pennsylvania Regional was actually really well built, and after playtesting that and my rank 5, that was actually the better build. And you know, a lot of people looked at that deck list, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, trust me, we'll get to it, and said, oh, those are some weird card choices. Actually test the deck out, guys. It's really good. I went 4-1 at my locals today. My only loss was to Frog Monarchs, and he ended up dropping a Vanity's Fiend on me in game 3 when I had game in like 5 different ways in my hand, but the Vanity's Fiend was just so infuriating. Couldn't draw a Lance, couldn't draw Honest to get around it. So I mean, props to him. I did go 4-1, got 4th place, had about 30 duelists, so the deck works. I mean, it does some pretty crazy things, and you know you're playing a fun deck, whatever. You attack for game, and you just have like this great feelings of satisfaction, especially when it comes out of nowhere. Like a lot of decks, they'll slowly grind you down, and you can see the end coming. But with Cyber Dragons, 8,000 life points isn't necessarily a lot against the deck, and we'll talk about it. This is a very turbo-ish deck that's going for a high attack, power-bonded Cyber Twin Dragon. And let's go over the deck. First, we have the all-star of any Cyber deck. It's Cyber Dragon himself. He's a rank 5 light machine, 2100 attack, and if my opponent controls a monster and I don't, he can special summon himself out. So he says he's rank 5 fodder, he's our fusion fodder, he's the key to the deck, and you need to run 3. Now, which artwork and which rarity you choose is up to you. I go with the secret alternate art from Raw Yellow Mega Pack. I think both arts actually come in the structure deck. Actually, I know they do. But the secrets from Raw Yellow Mega Pack do it for me. A lot of people like the ultimates from Cybernetic Revolution. But that's kind of your own touch you can put on the deck. Next, we're running 3 of the new little guys, Cyber Dragon Core. When this guy's on the field or in my graveyard, he's considered a Cyber Dragon. He's got very small attack, 400, which makes him a machine duplication target, which we'll talk about later. But he has the effect, when he comes out in the field, I can add a Cyber Spell or Trap to my hand. Now, there is a Cyber Trap that a lot of people are wondering, how many should I run, how many should I run? This stuff runs none, so we're only worried about the Cyber Spell card, Cyber Repair Shop, so we'll talk about that later. Also, he has a very cool ability. When he's in my graveyard and I control no monsters, I can actually remove him from play, special summon a Cyber Dragon out of my deck. So, really nice recursion, gives me nice consistent fields of monsters, fills my hand up, floater, great. It's considered a Cyber Dragon on the field, so I can contact fuse, use it as a fodder for the Power Bond plays. Just an amazing card, and we're running 3. And just almost as amazing as Cyber Dragon Dry, he's got a lot more attack at 1800. He's a level 4 that can turn himself into a level 5 when he's summoned. But when you use that effect, you can only special summon machines the rest of the turn. And also, when he's removed from play, I can select one Cyber Dragon on the field, and it's protected from being destroyed by card effects or battle that turn. We don't really care too much about that effect. What we care about is that he's a Cyber Dragon when he's on the field and in the graveyard, and that when he's normal summoned, he goes up to a level 5. Very important things, and we'll talk about why later. Now I have an All-Star. Now, I played in a tournament today, and lo and behold, early in the rounds, I play against a ZW player, and I'd never played ZWs outside of like random stuff on Dueling Network, but I did know that it made Utopia almost unkillable. And this is one of those cards that randomly gets around it. It's searchable in the deck. We'll talk about that later. So pretty much, I have to remove all of my face-up light machines and all of the light machines in my graveyard to special summon this guy. It's an all-or-nothing type thing. But when I was playing the ZW guy, he made these huge first turn plays, and like on the second turn, I would just special summon this guy by removing like one monster, and what it does is it actually gains 500 per one you remove, which we don't really care about, but it sends all other face-up monsters on the field to the graveyard. Now that's a key word, it sends, it doesn't destroy. So this is a searchable, kind of badass dark hole. Now it doesn't work on face-down monsters, But on fields that you are just locked out of, Drago Sacks, all these things that can't be destroyed, this is an out. This is an out to a lot of bad fields. And you definitely need to run the 1. I wouldn't really say you need to run 2 because you have to remove a ton of shit to get it to go. And I'm using this more as a dark hole than an offensive card. But obviously late in the game, if you remove let's say you remove 6 light machines from between your field and your graveyard, this is a 3k attacker that just cleared the field for you. So he can actually clear the way for game. But he's got an amazing ability to clear the field, and that's what we're using him for. We are running the 2 card Ds. We need optimal second to third turn plays, and this is going to get us there. It is a effect veiler magnet. People will drop it as soon as you play the card, which is the smart play. But you do need to run these. They speed up the deck, add consistency. I don't need to argue for card D. It speaks for itself. One honest, we're mainly going for game with Cyber Twin Dragon, and it's a light monster, so honest. Now we have 3 cards that, 3 of 1 card that could have been extremely broken. Now pretty much this is a Rhoda for our deck. It searches out any light machine monster, but only if I have a Cyber Dragon in my graveyard. Now luckily, all of those Cyber Dragons, Dry Core, and the regular Cyber Dragon count as Cyber Dragons in the graveyard, so it could be any one of those 3. But if I open with this, like multiples of these first turn, I have no way to get a Cyber Dragon in my graveyard, it kind of sucks. But once you get the deck rolling, it's never dead. It can also add a light machine from your graveyard back into your deck. And if you have 3 or more Cyber Dragons, you can actually do both. Now, I've only pulled that effect off a couple times, but mainly you want to be able to add a light machine. This searches that Cyber El Tannen. I don't even know if I said the name of the card. This is Cyber El Tannen. I don't even know if I said his name earlier. I don't think I did. But he's searchable off of Repair Plant. So everything's searchable except for these 3 guys, the cars, and the Honest. So definitely an important card of the deck. Adds consistency, helps you make the plays that you need to make. Now we have 3 Power Bonds. What this is essentially going to do, it's going to make our machine fusions that we make off of it double in attack. So that means our 2800 Cyber Twin Dragon is now a 5600 double attacker. Now the downside is during the end phase, you take damage equal to the original attack of that monster. So I'll take 2800 at the end of the phase, but I have a 5600 double attacker that's almost always going to get me game when it's on the field. So you rarely take that end phase damage because you're ending the game. You're running 3, getting this card second turn, first turn, having it ready to go is really what the point of the deck is, and we are going to run the 3. We want it early and often. Next we have 3 Upstart Goblins. A lot of people call these Upstart Hobins because Pat Hobin's doing so well, and he's always running these 3 and Reckless, and it's called Hobining now evidently. But in my area, there's been some really good players. Been playing 3 Upstarts for a while. I remember Chris Bowling, a player that I have a lot of respect for, that when I first started playing, I watched all this stuff and actually live in the same area, so we went to the same levels for a while. He would always run the 3 Upstarts, and I remember him saying, 37 card deck, and now it's more of a Pat Hoban thing because Pat Hoban's relevant right now, Chris Bowling isn't. But I'm not going to call him Pat Hoban just because I've been seeing the card for a few years around here. 3 MSTs, we do need our plays to go off, and it's, great against Fire Fists, Harpies, things like that. Obviously not blind MSTing against Harpies, don't be that guy. But, hitting the Hysteric Party, hitting the Hunting Ground, things like that, it's really good for. We are running Double Machine Dupe. Now let's talk about why we run Double Machine Dupe. A lot of people have already gone over this. I did see it on, I think, Vexicus's channel. He had a rulings video. But in case you missed it, in case you kind of want to see me play it out, I'll do it for you. You normal summon your Cyber Dragon Core. Core will search out your Repair Plant, and then you'll play Machine Duplication. Since Cyber Dragon Core on the field is considered a Cyber Dragon, your only legal targets in the deck are actually Cyber Dragons, like real Cyber Dragons. So you get out 2 awesome Cyber Dragons out onto the field. It's up to 2, so if you only have 1 left in your deck, you can actually only get the 1 if that is the route you want to take. So now all of a sudden we have, say we do this first turn, so we have a Core out there, we play Machine Dupe, we get our 2 Cyber Dragons. Now the best play here, it kind of depends on what you're playing, but it's usually probably going into Pleiades. You can go into Pleiades at this point, and you guys know what Consular Pleiades looks like. Looks a lot like a Pleiades. And then you have an interesting setup. You can actually, this is how I beat Lightsworns today. I opened just like this, and he played a Lumina, and did some dirt. As soon as he summoned the Lumina, I bounced it back, because I knew I had game in my head next turn. Then he set one card, when my turn came back around, I bounced the other card. I now had a Cyber Dragon in my graveyard, so I could use my repair plant. I got a Cyber Dragon Dry, normal summoned the Dry, made all the Cyber Dragons level 5, including this guy, and pretty awesome. Actually, I don't know if I talked about that, and I'm just going to go back in time just a minute. Cyber Dragon Dry, when he's normal summoned and he bumps up to level 5, it counts for all Cyber Dragons in the field. So if you have this guy out there, and you normal summon your Dry, bumps up him to level 5, also will bump this guy up to level 5. So my play was, I went into this, went into Nova, detached, got another Cyber Dragon, attack with Nova, remove the Cyber Dragon for game. Something like that. But it's just an amazing, back to Machine Dupe, it's an amazing card. That is an amazing first turn play. You can actually go into Nova if you prefer it, Cyber Dragon Nova, which we'll talk about later. But I think Pleiades is an amazing first turn card for your opponent to have to play around. A lot of times they'll misplay trying to get around it. So we'll play 2 of the Forbidden Lances. I always want to call these Fiendish Chains, I don't know why. 2 Forbidden Lances. Again, we need our attack to go off. We're trying to get those big Cyber Twins out there. So if they have a Mirror Force, and they want to Mirror Force us, we'll hit it with a Lance. Our big old 5600 will be a paltry 4800 double attacker. We'll probably still get this game at that point. Just allows our plays to go through, and you do want to run the 2. I wouldn't run 3. It gets a little cloggy for me, for my taste, but the 2 is perfect. One Day at Peace. When I saw this card in the deck, I was like, it's interesting. What it does is it accelerates your deck, but also it allows you to dodge the burn from your power bond if you need to. It's kind of like a secondary effect. Obviously, you want to be able to power through your deck and kind of speed things up. But also, if you play this after you play your power bond, and obviously that you attacked, it'll save you from the burn damage, the 2800, the 4K, whatever you're getting hit for with power bond. So, playing one of those, and then one limiter. I love this card. I won my very first Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament because of this card. My very first tournament, I've been playing since 2010 at local tournaments. I've been playing online for longer than that. There was an official Yu-Gi-Oh! Card game online that I played for about a year before playing in actual tournaments. And I played a Ancient Gear Gadget Machina deck. And maybe I'll link to that deck profile, because I made it the day I won that tournament. I was so happy for myself, and I played really shitty stuff like Minefield Driller in it. But anyway, this card doubles the attack of all machines on the field. It's an amazing card. It gets you game from almost any point in the game when it comes to machines. Their attacks are so high anyway, and if you double it, if you play this on your Cyber Twin, all of a sudden you're 11.2k double attacker, and you're just... I beat a player earlier today. He's playing Lightsworns, but he left a Chaos Sorcerer out there. So I went into an actual Cyber End Dragon, bumped it up to 16 in the damage step, and attacked over his Chaos Sorcerer. It was awesome. I just love this card. There's a reason it's at 1. I need to rarity bump this guy, because I do love this card so much. And then, very interesting trap lineup. Triple trap stun. You need your plays to go off. This card was an all-star against Harpies. I stopped 2 Hysteric Parties with the trap stun, and obviously I can use it to protect my own field for my plays. Triple Threatening Roar. You want your plays to go off. You need your Cyber Dragons to kind of hang around so there can be power-bound food. Against Geargia Carrot Curry today, guy went off. I was able to trap stun it and contact fuse his field on the next turn. Very useful. And then Triple Reckless. Again, this is it's Hoban. I guess I'm Hobaning. But this is just to add consistency to the deck. Obviously, you can play all 3 on one turn, draw 6, and only skip 2 draw phases. Today, I think that the best I did is I did 2. So I drew 4 and only had to skip 2. I had 3 set, but I got an end phase MST, so that kind of sucked. So let's go backwards through the deck. It's a pretty interesting deck, guys. I definitely recommend you try this way if you bought the deck. Most of the stuff came with the deck. Let's actually go through and I'll name you the stuff that doesn't. The Recklesses do not come with the deck. The Threatening Roars do not come with the deck. The Trapstones absolutely do come with the deck, which is a very nice reprint. Limiter comes with it. One Day of Peace doesn't, but you can find those anywhere. Lances don't come with it. Cyber Dragons obviously come with it, but not this rarity. These are not what I want to talk about right now. Oh, get out of here. You monster cards. Repair Plants come with the deck. Power Bonds come with the deck. Upstart Goblins do not. MSTs do come with the deck. Machine Dupes, sadly, do not come with the deck. Again, Cyber Dragons do. Cores do. Dries do. Eltanin does in common form. Card Ds and Honest do not. So about half the cards you need for the deck don't come with it, but they're pretty easy to pick up. I think Card D may be the hardest card to pick up, and those are only like $5 each, and they're getting reprinted, so keep that in mind. I don't know if you guys are like me, but when I put my deck down, I always have to have kind of the signature card sitting on top. So we'll put Cyber Dragon up there while we look at our extra deck. Extra deck is going to consist of Machine Fusions and rank 5s. So we already talked about Pleiades. We can make them with 2 Cyber Dragons off that Machine Dupe play. We'll talk about the other kind of stapley rank 5s. Volcasaurus, Gaia Charger that goes with Volcasaurus, because Volcasaurus pops a card, then it can't attack, but then you play Gaia Charger over it and you can attack. I borrowed one for the tournament today. I had to give it back. $15, and you know, I'm kind of hoping they'll either go down or I can get one for, or you know, maybe I can just keep borrowing the one I borrowed today. One Tyrus, and then remember when I said with the Cyber Dragon Dry you can only special summon machines the rest of the turn? Pretty much what comes to mind is Cyber Dragon Nova, which we'll talk about in length here in a second. But you can also use Zenmayo. Zenmayo is a great rank 5 machine, and definitely put in work for me today. I would definitely recommend one. He's not that expensive. I think he's like $7, so pick one up if you can. Let's go into the non-stapley things. Rank 4, I do play 1 because Dry, it's your choice to make it rank 5. I do play the Arc, and I do realize that this is an expensive card. You could totally not play this. You could play, you know, a Mace Stroke or a Cowboy, anything in here if you really wanted to. You very rarely will go into rank 4, and I only did today because it was a pretty this is a pretty good card to get rid of threats, and at the time it was the correct play to make. This guy, Chimeritic Overdragon, he's really popular to use with Overload Fusion. You can actually make him with Power Bond, but honestly, if given the choice, I wouldn't run this card again. He was kind of bad for me today. If I was running a deck that had Overload in it, I would run him, but I'll probably cut him. I haven't decided what I'll put in his spot. One Barbaroid. Actually, let's talk about Barbaroid later. Let's talk about you later. Double Chimeritic Fortress card. This is a very stable card for the deck, and they've shot up from like $4 all the way up to like almost 15 in the last few days. Pretty much Core, Dry, and regular Cyber Dragon all are considered Cyber Dragon. So any other machines on the field I can contact fuse with. If you don't know what contact fusing is, pretty much I can send cards to the graveyard that meet the requirement and not have to use polymerization. So I can contact fuse with the other side of the field for this card. So if my opponent has a Catastor, a Zen Mains, a Mecha Phantom Beast, Dragossack, popular machine monsters, if I have a Cyber Dragon or one of the ones that are treated as Cyber Dragon on my side, I can now contact fuse with theirs on their side of the field. Now what that would mean is I send my Cyber Dragon and their Mecha Phantom Beast Dragossack, they can't respond to this, to the graveyard to bring out a 2000 attack, because I use 2 materials, Fortress. So it becomes a 1 card out to a lot of problem cards. Again, Catastor, Dragossack, and Zenmains, really difficult cards to kind of play around sometimes. These become 1 card outs too, and you run 9 of them in your main deck. That's amazing. Now, the other version of the deck that I was playing ran 2 main deck DNA surgeries. I could make all of my opponent's monsters' machines and contact fuse with every last one of them. I could bring out 4K, 5K fortresses, but the build I'm running doesn't have the room for the DNA surgeries. But there is a place in my side deck, obviously, for the DNA surgeries, which makes these all the more lethal. Now, what was I going to say? Dragossack. This came up today. I contact fused with a Dragossack, and I didn't contact fuse with the tokens. Why did I not hit the tokens? My opponent wanted to know why. because when you contact fuse, the material has to go to the graveyard. And if you guys didn't know, tokens never go to the graveyard. This is another reason why you can't use it as a X-Seed, can't use tokens as X-Seed fodder, because they never actually end up going to the graveyard. So I can't use it as contact fodder. I can, in fact, though, get that Mega Phantom Beast off the field, Dragosack, but the tokens will stay. So keep that in mind when you're running the card. I am running one Cyber End Dragon. You do need him. Sometimes it's the right play to power bond into this guy. He becomes an 8k attacker, 16k attack if you decide to limiter him, which I did do today. But if your opponent has, maybe one face-up attack position monster and one defense, and you have game, they don't have Honest or anything tricky like that, you can go into the Cyber End, and 8k over most monsters, if you've done any damage before that, it's going to be game. So you do want to have the choice to run the one, and he's also summonable off of Nova Dragon's effect, which we'll talk about here in a second. Next is Barbaroid. He's got 4,000 attack, 4,000 defense, and I don't even know how many stars that is, but that is a lot of stars. He requires 5 Roid monsters. Holy shit, 5 Roid monsters. But you can special summon him off of Nova's effect, and we'll talk about that again here in a second. Now, he can attack twice. 4,000 attack twice. That's pretty amazing. But he can't attack directly, so that does kind of suck. But you can attack over smaller, meatier monsters, and when they're destroyed, he does 1,000 points of damage. In addition, the monsters that he attacks this way, their effects are negated. So, when I was testing online, this didn't happen in real life. I only got this guy out once today, and he was immediately removed by a BLS, so that kind of sucked. But, I was playing against the Raccoon deck, he saw him warning to my Cyber Dragon Nova, whatever, and I brought out this guy with Cyber Dragon Nova's effect, which we'll talk about, and I attacked into a little Raccoon shithead number 1, went to the graveyard no effect, and then I attacked again into a shithead Raccoon number 2. I also went to the graveyard with no effect. I did 1,000 for each one of those, and Barbaroid's pretty awesome. He may be cooler, just the thought of him is maybe cooler than he actually is useful, but he's pretty fucking amazing. I like him at 1. Now we have the staple list of all staples. We only are running 2 Cyber Twins. I don't think I ever played today, and I was like, man, I really wish I had a third. You should really only need one of these guys to go off, because if you've accelerated your deck and set up your field enough, you should only really need to swing in with one of these, but you have the second there just in case. The 2,800 attack requires 2 Cyber Dragons. It goes up to 5,600 with Power Bond and 11.2k. These are high fucking numbers with the limiter removal. This is your win condition. This is how you win most of your games. And you do need to have at least 2. Then we have the Cyber Dragon Nova, the new guy. Pretty much you make him with 2 level 5s. He's a machine that you can use with Dry. Let's grab a Dry. Because remember, Dry, when he uses the effect, you can only special summon machines. So now you have this special summon, normal summon, activate effect, X-Seed summon, Cyber Dragon Nova. Now from here, you can do a couple things. If you have a Cyber Dragon in your graveyard, you can detach a material to special summon a Cyber Dragon out of your graveyard. So now you have that, or, if you already had a legal target, don't forget about this play. If you have a legal target in your graveyard, you can detach the Cyber Dragon, and then you can actually bring that same one back, because you had a legal target to initiate. So now you have a field that looks like this. Now this is how Cyber Dragon Nova is actually really cool. So I can attack for 2,100 with this, attack for 2,100 with this, and the damage step I can, or any point I guess, I can remove this Cyber Dragon I've already attacked with, and boost him up by another 2,100. So, attack, damage step, remove, add 2,100, this is now 4,200. That's 6,300 attack, so that's a nice little trick you can do. If this is attacked, you can still use this effect, so make sure you attack in the proper order. Pretty much what he says is that on either player's turn, and in the damage step on either player's turn, I can remove from my hand or my field a Cyber Dragon to boost his attack by 2,100. Now, in the hand, the only things that will work with this effect are actual Cyber Dragons, because your Nova and your Dry do not count as Cyber Dragons in the hand. But on the field, you can remove a Dry, you can remove a Core. Any of these cards are considered Cyber Dragons, so they can be used for the attack boost. So just keep that in mind. Interesting plays. And remember, when Dry is removed, it actually protects a Cyber Dragon on the field if there's a target on there. So definitely interesting plays to think about. Now, the effect I keep talking about that gets out the fusion is that if this card, which is threatening on its own, it can special summon Cyber Dragons and attack for 4,200 each turn. But it also, if it's destroyed by a card effect, and this does include Solemn Warning. It does include Solemn Warning. Kind of like Scrap Dragon gets its effect off Solemn Warning. When it's destroyed, you can special summon a Machine Fusion monster. These are our main targets here. Cyber, and if they have an open field, I would recommend going to Cyber. And possibly, he's actually, you know what, fuck him. Because either one of these would be better for separate situations. Your 4K attack double attacker that'll knock out effects, or your 2800 attack double attacker that, you know, gets shit done. I guess this guy... No, there's no situation I can think of that you would get this guy over these two, and I've never actually gone into this guy. But these are your targets. If he's destroyed by card effect, Solemn Warning, Mirror Force, Dark Hole, Bear, anything, you can special summon either one of these guys, and then you just do tons of work from there. And, you know, that's pretty much the deck, guys. I'll run through it real quick. I kind of made a mess with my deck over there. Barbaroid is a really fun monster. Probably better in theory than in actual application, but the day I actually get game with that card will be a glorious day. I only got to summon him once today, and he was killed by a BLS, removing him from the pencil. So, here's the main deck. The monsters are probably a little out of order, but you get the idea. And, you know, I'll admit it, this is not my initial deck list I was working with, but after testing the one I was working with, and this did become the better deck list. And what type of player would I be if I didn't bring you the better of what I've tested? I mean, I've done the testing for you guys. You can definitely test this build versus one of your own making, and, you know, you'll probably find the same thing as me. This is a very consistent way to end games early. You know, they're just like any OTK deck. I mean, you can draw janky and lose, but the idea behind the Upstarts, the Reckless Greeds, and all the other cards is to make it to where those hands don't really happen. So I've talked for almost 30 minutes straight here, guys, so I'm going to take a break. If you have any questions or comments, post them below, and I really appreciate you guys being patient with the video. The deck is so much fun, guys. Do yourself a favor, pick it up. It's not that expensive.